Yes, amata yaudana 0% EMI loan gi kudong chabasu thanggari. Kudong chabasu makan biraganu ngasi maklengsin biraku Mezo Health Imphal Pesampat Kunjen Hazari Laikai.
Hello and good evening, dear viewers. Welcome to ELITETV Open Debate in English. As today is Monday, we will be conducting our Open Debate in English to reach out to a wider audience beyond the boundaries of our state. I'm Utpala, your host for tonight. The latest surge in global COVID-19 cases, majorly driven by the Omicron subvariant BA.5, could be causing increasing reinfections, meaning more people are catching COVID-19 for the second or third time, according to a media report. The reinfections are the result of waning immunity, broad spread, and mutations to BA.5. Further, the data showed that on average, people who are getting reinfected now were last infected about 9 months ago. But recently, Andrew Robertson, the Chief Health Officer in Western Australia, said that BA.5 subvariant could reinfect within weeks. The BA.5 Omicron subvariant, now the dominant coronavirus strain in the US, is 4 times more resistant to COVID-19 vaccines, according to a new study published in Nature. Researchers from Anglia Ruskin University have found that coronavirus infection causes eye pain. Experts say that itchy and dry eyes are also associated with corona symptoms. He clarified that we should not overlook such features. With the coronavirus mutating, is COVID-19 here to stay? Is Manipur ready for the 4th wave of COVID-19? Dear viewers, let me introduce our panelists for tonight. We have Dr. Yumnam Gopalkrishna Singh, Additional Director Public Health. Welcome to our open debate, Dr. Yumnam Gopal Singh.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Next, we have Dr. Nabakanta Sharma, former OSD JNIMS. Welcome to our open debate, Dr. Nabakanta. And last but not the least, we have Mr. Rinku Khumukcham, editor, Imphal Times. Welcome to our open debate, to our elite open debate, Mr. Khumukcham. So let's begin today's open debate. Once again, let me welcome all our panelists. A warm welcome to all of you. I'll start with Dr. Nabakanta Sharma regarding the 4th wave of COVID-19, which seems to be going on right now. So what is the reason of the increasing number of COVID-19 cases in Manipur? Because the numbers had really gone down and everything seemed to be under control, but all of a sudden the numbers have started increasing again. So what could possibly is the reason for the number of, for this?
All right. Thank you, Elite News, for having me today evening. Oh yes, this is the 4th wave is coming in Manipur. And Manipur happens to be in the part of India and part of the world. When you look back, today even in Sikkim, 50 new cases is positive. Mm-hmm. And imagine Andaman Nicobar, one of the remotest area, it is surrounded by the seas, very remote area. Still, they have got 10 positive today. Okay. So it's an alarming thing. But if you ask me how it is transmitted, definitely it is transferred from contact from the sneezing, coughing, and things like that, as everybody knows.
Right.
When the COVID was coming down, early past time, people are really afraid. But now we know the reason. But of course, a little bit of alarming thing is the mutations, Omicron and the things like that. And there's a lot of publications from different angles, from different authors and from different continents. But a small place like Manipur, we don't have anything much to say. We have to wait and watch. But my message is very simple. It is still transmitting. Even the remotest from Andaman Nicobar, even in Sikkim. And you can imagine it will be more in the Assam, it must be more in the Bengal, and I'm sure there will be a lot of in Bangladesh. And now our movement is very fast. The aeroplane, the the roads, the train is coming. So my simple submission, my message is very simple. That fourth wave is coming. Let us take care of it. Of course, I am not very active in the government setup. More or less, I'm familiar. I can understand some of the data and things around here.
Right.
And that much I want to say for the first time.
Okay.
The first listening.
Thank you for your views, Doctor. And okay, I'll move on to Dr. Yumnam Gopalkrishna Singh. Sir, since we were talking about the number of cases increasing everywhere, now specifically we're talking about Manipur, are we prepared in case of another flare-up in Manipur? Since it's the fourth wave, we have been working towards controlling it, but are we really prepared for it?
Yes, we are really prepared for it. Firstly, for the last few days, the number of positive cases have not been increasing, is remaining somewhat in plateau. Like yesterday, we had 90. Today, we have 73. So it's going up and down, but it's not increasing to a great extent.
Okay.
And regarding the readiness, I should say that we are ready. We have beds in RIMS. RIMS we have 62 beds. JNIMS we have 38, and RD wing we have 64. And moreover, we have so many COVID care centers. We can open anytime when the number of cases are out of control. Then we have all the equipments. Actually, like Kiamgai COVID hospital, like TB hospital, Kayawang came, they are all ready. Actually, all the equipments, all the infrastructures are ready. So only thing is that when we are when the number of cases are increasing, number of them, I mean, when we are getting out of control, then we can open it anytime.
Okay.
We are in a very short time.
Okay. So we have our COVID care centers and hospital beds ready in case of a flare-up at the moment.
Yes.
Okay. That's great to hear. Thank you for your views. My next question for Mr. Rinku Khumukcham. People have been infected and they have recovered. Now, since this is the fourth wave, so a lot of people did get infected and then they've recovered. So now these people, what's happening is, and then on top of that, they've been vaccinated with the first, second dose, and maybe even the precautionary dose. So what's generally happening is, I think people are kind of they're under the impression that maybe they cannot get reinfected. And do you think this is true? And in case it's not, shouldn't everybody be wearing masks and taking precautions? Because since we know that Omicron does cause, the current strain, it causes reinfections. So people may not be aware, and people have this general view that they're not going to get reinfected. What are your views on that?
First of all, let me have a suggestion that wearing a mask, it doesn't mean that I want myself to be protected from getting the virus. It does mean that I do not want to spread the virus to others. This should be the philosophy of wearing the mask. So everyone voluntarily, they should have the idea that wearing a mask is compulsion. It's mandatory for in this kind of situation, because we have been attacked by pandemic, and you have been telling that this is fourth wave, whether it's a fourth wave or not. Yeah, it's a fourth wave. We can simply say fourth wave. Okay, well, a panelist, respected doctor, just had stated that we have well prepared about if any kind of fourth wave appeared. There will be definitely, we have center open. We have already prepared everything. Prepared is stated by him. Well and good. Government is doing good. And one thing I'm very confident about is that we have faced the first wave.
Right.
It was a disaster. You know, there has been critics from all corners. There has been, you know, the mismanagement, the way the vaccination has been done, the way that the peoples were controlled, the way that, everything doesn't seem good. So there has been a criticism. There were criticism, a lot of criticism from, even from my side, from civil society side, from common man side. There has been a lot of criticism regarding that. Well and good. That was the first wave, and everybody,
it's completely new.
It's not easy for someone, even it may be a dictatorship government or any other, to tackle something that is new.
Right.
But this is the fourth wave. We have been facing this for 4 years. Say from 2019, 20, then count it. It will be around 3 years. So, much has been experienced. The way how we should be dealing with the COVID patient, how we should be dealing with the SOP, how the SOP should be prepared, and what are the conditions that we have to prepare to face these challenges. And when the first wave came in, it was I was very surprised to see that the government of Manipur had constituted a committee for control of the COVID, comprising of doctors, so civil society members, or any other who are not expert at all at public health issues. There were many, and in case of public health issue, it should be only those experts who are expert in a public health issue, like the community medicine doctors, so those should be the people who should be tackle this problem, who should frame some recommendation to the government and what to do and what not to do. This should be the purpose of what should be done.
Right.
Earlier, it was not done. We haven't seen that. But this time, we expect something change. The health director now, this health director, I don't know where he comes from, where he did, but still, I'm being told that he is a public health expert.
Okay. So there is a team. There is a team of public health experts now.
No. Still now, the government of Manipur has not constituted any team comprising of such thing. But still, then there will be some suggestion bringing up to control the public health issues.
Right.
This is a pandemic. Pandemic is a public health issue.
Absolutely.
When dealing with public health issue, it should be something that need experts who are well prepared, well experienced, well qualified in the field of public health issues, like this from those from the community medicine or so and so. So these are the issues that has to be tackled, and this time, as we have been facing a lot of problems, we have experience for nearly many years. So definitely, the government will do certain things. And another thing that I would like to get here, one thing is that we have been taught a lesson by the nature. If, for example, the pandemic, assume this pandemic as a nature, as a natural cause.
Right.
We haven't teach a lesson to live life of a normal, a civilized society's life. Like we should be dealing with this. We should not be gathering here. We should not be. There should be certain regulations, certain discipline that every people is, and every of us has to follow, that has been taught to us earlier in the first pandemic, second pandemic. So now we should have learned this a lot, but the unfortunate part is that none of our people, we don't learn. We don't take it seriously.
The general public.
We cannot blame. We cannot simply blame to the people, but still then, the government should at least spread awareness about how should we live a new normalcy, as we are facing kind of diseases that can kill, that can abolish, that can wipe out all the society. So something has been there is some loopholes there. There has been wrong going on, but this time I'm very sure that with the experiences that they had experience, and then the government of Manipur as well as the health department will certainly do something that will benefit and protect the people of Manipur. This will be my first step.
Thank you for your views. Mr. Khumukcham. I'll come back to Dr. Nabakanta Sharma. Sir, we just spoke about the government taking up actions, and Dr. Yumnam also said about the numbers plateauing at the moment. But the schools, basically we're talking about most of the adults have been vaccinated, I believe, in Manipur. And now the vaccination for children between the age of 12 to 18 was carried out, but we're not very sure how effective it was or how many children have been vaccinated. And now that the schools for children above 12 years has reopened, wouldn't that actually kind of cause a flare-up? Because these children, most of the children are not vaccinated, I believe. Although vaccination programs were carried out in schools, I don't know how effective that was. Now, if that happens in schools with these children, that they would bring home the infections, and they would probably it would spread to the other members of the family. So how good do you think this idea of letting the children start physical school, regular school again?
All right. I would like to react a little bit of with Rinku Khumukcham's, his point of view. We live in the democratic setup,
right,
where the politician is the top of the hierarchy, then the bureaucrat who follow the master of his politicians, and the technocrat, we the doctors. And perhaps it's epidemiology and the pandemic is not a rocket science.
Right.
A basic medical graduate can understand what to be done, not to be done, but his hand or her hand sometimes bind it. And of course, the politicians have a very thick soup sometimes. They almost virtually shouting to the technicians or bureaucrat and all, because they are answerable to the central government also. So it's very easy to point a finger to somebody X and Y, but I would like to we should have a scientific background, not by emotion, not by angriness, not by losing my one colleague. Even, one of my younger doctor, he resigned from the government job because his family was that of COVID, and he take the responsibility. Because of me, my families die. I think that was very disheartening, and I felt crying. But our doctors are very sensitive. Some of them, even he resigned from the job, from the government service, which is very, they want to join in the government sector. So these are the points. So even you see, the last time we had lost around 8 doctors, including 2 renowned gynecologists. One of my colleagues, one of my teachers, who lost it. And in spite of all our best effort, which we can give, which we can deliver in our system, in our setup. And of course, we face it very nicely. And 2 medical colleges, they worked very hard. Of course, in the beginning, there was a tussle. The young girl who come positive from Thangwiban and all, the gate was closed. There was a sample cow and all. You must be watching everything.
Right.
And we doctor never encourage it. We never ever encourage it. And we send off her to her home with my vehicle. Perhaps you must be remembering to those videos and all. So that was our contribution. Yes, we must be having some bottlenecks. And I feel proud of one of my younger colleagues. His name is Ganesh. He is from Tamil Nadu. He was doing his MD medicine in the Jain hospital and JNIMS. He sleeps in the COVID ward. He is not a Manipuri. Okay. He is outside from the Manipur. He is from Tamil Nadu. He come here and sleeps in the COVID ward. And he was infected twice also.
Okay.
And now he got the super specialist in the PGI Chandigarh. Such a hardworking, such a lovable doctor. His soul is here. Of course, all doctors are not the pious, all doctors are not angel. But I am giving some 2-3 examples because I happen to be a doctor. I was working 24/7 in those days and working the quarter. And very surprisingly, one of the young child, I was doing cesarean in 1995 with 400 rupees. And anesthesia I was given, that was very risky. Now he became a doctor. I meet him the day before yesterday. So life goes like this. And coming back to the young children, and it is worrisome. I have got my grandson. He is going to school. of course, he's vaccinated. I feel a little bit of warm comfort that once he have got vaccinated, because I'm not an expert, I'm not a virologist, I'm not a immunology expert, but what I have got a warm feeling is that yes, this after the vaccination, it may be mutate, it may be Omicron, it may be another thing, but my feeling is that it is more or less protected, because the earlier people are dying very so quickly, so easily.
Right.
But now this vaccination things are coming up. So I would like to conclude. I really appreciate Rinku Khumukcham, his feeling, his worriness, and of course, last of the list, our government is well equipped now. They can do it very easily, I believe. But of course, there will be some manpower issue, because last time they appointed some people. They discharge it very soon. Perhaps this time they may not get it. But anyway, that is government headache. But materially, we do have everything in our hand. But manpower, perhaps it may a little bit. Hopefully, it doesn't flare off so in a very harsh way. And with this, I want to conclude by this second session. Thank you.
Thank you for your views, Doctor. I'll come to Dr. Yumnam Gopalkrishna. Well, we're talking about how it will not flare up, and we were also talking about how children who have been vaccinated seem to not get the infection as easily as it was. But what the word is going around is that the current strain, the Omicron BA.5, is very transmissible, although it may not be as virulent as the first and second wave, but it's transmissible. But what are the chances of it causing a grave illness, or would the symptoms remain mild?
Yeah, actually, Omicron, the third wave Omicron also, it was restricted to the upper respiratory tract.
Okay.
So we didn't have much problem because it was not spreading to the lungs, lower respiratory tract.
Right.
That is the main cause of issue, the main cause of death in COVID patients.
Okay.
Now this Omicron, most likely, we are not sure whether B4 or B5 or B2.75 has come or not, but this B4, B5, all this, they have the tendency for immune evasion. That means most of the previous infection will not be protecting. That's why so many people, even though they were infected earlier, they have become infected.
Reinfected, right.
That is the thing. Then this B4 and B5, the spread is much faster, and it can be, a number can be like anything, but it also restricts, mostly it restricts to the upper respiratory tract so far.
Okay.
That's why we don't have so much of hospital admissions and other unwanted things.
Okay.
So the number may be increasing, but still the situation may be under control this time also. That's what we are hoping, because of this nature of the infectivity and immunity.
Okay. Thank you for your views, Doctor. I'll move to Mr. Rinku Khumukcham. We were just talking about how it's only restricted to the upper respiratory tract, and now that the government probably feels confident enough for school children to start going to school, the question arises is how are the other schools able to follow the SOPs and the protocol to and then have the social distancing among the students in the school, and how effective would that be? If they have social distancing, how effective would that be? And if social distancing is not being followed, how bad can it get? What are your views on that?
Well, regarding this matter, we have already discussed about this also. But if you read on the order by the governor of Manipur, dated July 22, then you will be definitely understanding that there has been closed down the school. That who are not vaccinated last week. The school, all school, disregarding of government, private, or so and so. That means the gathering of even the coaching class will be closed. This has been already ordered by the government of Manipur, and this has to be followed by the by all institutions running school.
Right.
This means that the condition that we are facing today is not an easy one. For example, Dr. Gopal had just stated about the variant that we already know that it's Omicron,
Right.
because we already have the instrument for checking it. But still
Yes.
now, the Manipur doesn't have any instrument or machine that can, check the kind of
The
variant.
Right, the genome mapping.
This Omicron.
Right, right.
Say, for example, Dr. Gopal has been telling about this BA4, BA5, so and so. But
Right.
and Israeli and a laboratory in Israel has confirmed 69 cases of this Omicron variant, this BA 2.75 in India. But the government of India has not, has not confirmed yet. And when I talk about some of the, say for example, I recently talked with the director JNIMS. He said that the government of Manipur even do not have the authority to tell whether which variants are we
dealing with.
Yeah. But why I'm telling it is that how serious is the case of COVID fourth wave has not been understood by us.
Right.
If you remember the first case where a lady from Thangwiban has been
the first case,
affected by the COVID-19.
Right.
You might remember that she was treated, isolated in the ward and treated for around some 14 days, I suppose. I don't really have the I don't really remember how many days, but still then, a question that I want to arise is that when she was told that she has been found negative, she was dropped to her house in an ambulance where those people accompanied her were PPE. So, how are we sure how people can be convinced that she is really cured?
Right.
How when she was really cured, and then when the doctors, their treatment advised them to drop her to a home in the ambulance, then why the PPE should be required there?
Right.
My point here is that Omicron, this COVID coronavirus, that time, we know that was the first case that the state of Manipur had experienced, and then we know the doctors in Manipur, including from JNIMS, because I tell JNIMS because that was the first case, and even at RIMS also there was a AZ patient.
Okay.
They were sent back to their home after quarantine. Just after quarantine. Nobody studied. None of the medical experts studied what were the causes, what would happen after they were tested negative after some time. What were the consequences that would have faced after this? They never studied they never studied. What I want to put up there, they never tried to study. They never tried to study about these things in our own hospital, in our own institution, which has been, known to all over India.
Okay.
So, my point here, I'm bringing out this point because, even now also, one doctor, Dr. Deven, he is the director of JNIMS. When I had a panel discussion with him, he told that he even went to the these things to the patient who is positive with COVID, and then nothing happened to him, and even some of the relatives who used to
visit him,
help those patients, they were not even tested positive. These were cases happened. So he wanted to focus that. He wanted to point out that the variant that has been causing right at this moment is not very serious, and then it is something like that. It is something like that. he was telling the people that this fourth wave is not very serious. But till then, when a laboratory from Israel has confirmed something very serious variant occurring happening in India, and then why it could not have been reached in Manipur. So the area that should have been very seriously dealt by the government of Manipur is that this should be today only 73, today only some around 73 or some yesterday 99 has been tested. Some it doesn't reach 3 digit. So the case is okay. We should not be panic and so this should not be the advice. Even if one person get infected with COVID, it should be very serious, and then it should be dealt with extreme seriousness.
Absolutely.
Then how it come and the tracking system, contact tracking system, it should all be done as usual as the first wave comes. It should be done. It should not be taken as lightly as we are, talking right now.
Right.
So my humble suggestion, I'm not an expert. I'm not a doctor. I'm not an expert. I just heard doctors, experts, and everyone telling things, and I read some books and all. From there, I find that any kind of epidemic, any kind of this pandemic, is serious to humankind.
Right.
It has the potential to wipe out all the community.
Right.
It has the potential to extinct humankind of this community also. So this should be serious, and then some to be very frank, some people. I'm not talking about the doctors. Some people are trying to earn big money, taking advantage of this pandemic in the name of helping them, and this should also be stopped. This is my humble opinion.
Thank you for your views. I'll come back to Dr. Nabakanta regarding this. We spoke about people probably not taking it very seriously, thinking that Omicron is not a very virulent strain, and the disease it's causing is not very serious like in the first and second wave. But doctor, we have people who are asymptomatic as well as people who are not actually getting tested. So those numbers are actually not going to get reflected in the numbers that the tally that we talk about COVID positive cases. So what do we do about such people? There are some people who happen to go to the hospital and get tested for some other reason, and then they find out that they're COVID positive, and I'm sure there must be so many other people who are asymptomatic. How can we actually control this kind of a situation?
Okay. Anyway, thank you for a wonderful question. I really appreciate Rinku Khumukcham, his concern, his worriness, his heartfelt, pain when the things are around here. Luckily, we have got the minister who is a medical background, with a specialty and all. And last time he was the backbone of the minister, and the running of the show was done by him only, because I know him well, and that's why he got, in the latter part, he got his cabinet ministership and all, because he ran the thing well. At the end of the day, we need money to run, to diagnose, to treat, because we want to have electronic microscope.
Right.
Electron microscope. In 2000, in the Professor of Science in Rome, in the microbiology department, they put an electron microscope as a souvenir. The past electron microscope in Italy and all, but now still we don't have it in our this thing. So there's a difference. And you can look back only yesterday only, Ukraine and Russia is agreeing to export the grain, because for the war they need money, both Ukraine also and Russia also. These two enemies sitting in front of a table and signed it, let us sell our wheat, because your war is the war of every citizen of the world in the dining table. Magi dining table, that happen a war in their dining table. So that's the point. So coming back to your asymptomatic and symptomatic, yes, I am not a concern specialty, but it is very easy to ask, but difficult to answer.
Right.
But hopefully, Gopal is here. He must be able to explain in a better way. Hopefully, we may not be able to bear all sort of pain last time. And before I forget, I want to mention, we call it a post-COVID symptoms, post-COVID issues.
Okay.
I was infected with the COVID in the first thing, and there was getting from one colleague, a doctor himself, and still now for the last 6 months or 1 year, I have an issue of difficulty, in many parts, because suddenly I became weak. I don't like to go around. I'm afraid of traveling, and this sort of thing is there. Post-COVID, it is a quite new disease. It's a brand new disease. Hardly 90% we do not know, although we know a little bit, but still it is very difficult to understand it. And of course, we have got a meager amount of money, and we get a money sent by the central government. You must be listening that the food was not given to the patient.
Right.
The toilet was full.
Absolutely.
The dustbin was full, and whatnot. But sometimes the social worker, the politicians, they establish their in their one community that they have done some well, and the COVID was one of the tools for the political campaign for election. So my conclusion is that hopefully nothing will happen, and let us take care. Prevent.
Absolutely. Right.
Precaution. This much I want to contribute this session. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Okay, so we'll move to Dr. Yumnam Gopalkrishna. Well, we were just again, we were discussing about the asymptomatic patients. How would an asymptomatic patient, if the patient doesn't have any symptoms, and that person is moving around maybe with a mask or without a mask, but then in the household, in his or her household, he will be moving around without a mask. So the possibility of spreading it increases. Again, now since this is the fourth wave, people have become complacent, and they also think they know the disease pretty well. I mean, that's a general view. So they're not actually getting tested. They just get the medication and they self-medicate. So most of the people, I'm sure, recover, but there could be cases of serious cases as well. So what do we do in such a case? When it's involving an asymptomatic patient?
This pandemic, because many of them are asymptomatic. We don't know how many people are infected.
Right.
Actually, ICMR, Indian Medical Council of Research in New Delhi, they estimated that if one person is detected positive, there may be another 9% undetected asymptomatic patients.
Okay.
So it's really, there's no way to control the asymptomatic who doesn't have any symptom and who are moving around.
Okay.
It's very difficult. Only thing is that we can prevent ourselves from getting infected. We can use this mask. Then hand hygiene. Coming to hand hygiene, washing with soap and water. Frequent washing with soap and water is better than this sanitizer.
Okay.
That is more effective, and sanitizer has got some side effect to us.
Okay.
Then social distancing and all these things, we have to social distancing and COVID appropriate behavior. We have to adopt this.
Right.
Then diet also plays a big role. Like we should eat fresh fruits and vegetables. Exercise is a must.
Okay.
Exercise is very important because when we are exercising, it produces some nitric oxide. That thing increases our immunity, and it can also kill the virus.
Okay.
Nitric oxide can kill coronavirus.
Okay.
Then most of us, we are staying indoor whenever there is a pandemic. And even if we don't have pandemic, we are staying, most of the time we are staying indoor.
Inside, yeah.
And that is also very detrimental to our immunity. We should stay outdoor at least 1 hour a day, and preferably exposed to sunlight, because some studies have shown that sunlight, those people who are exposed to sunlight, frequent sunlight, they have less COVID symptoms.
Okay.
And most of them, they do not get infection also.
Okay.
So exposure to sunlight and outdoor environment is very important. Then what we can do is we can gargle with this iodine-based mouth gargle like betadine. It can also kill the virus. That is very important. We can suppose we are exposed to some risk environment, and we can come back and just wash gargle our mouth with iodine-based mouth gargle. That can also prevent.
What about some any local herbs that really help in preventing or increasing the immune system? Because there used to be talks about certain leaves which were being boiled and people using it extensively. Do they really help?
Yes, they do help. Like if you say this turmeric powder, if you take along with this black pepper, it increases immunity so much.
Okay.
Even ginger also anti-inflammatory.
Okay.
And COVID is, when we have pneumonia and all, it is inflammatory.
Right.
So this inflammation can be decreased to a great extent with these herbs. Even simple fruits and vegetables also, they can help.
Okay.
Then hydration is very important. If we should make sure that our saliva are not dried up.
Okay.
Because saliva has got some proteins that can control the virus.
Okay.
So hydration, drinking water frequently is very important.
Okay.
Then deep and slow breathing is also very important, because when you are breathing slow and deep, you are producing nitric oxide in the nasal cavity and sinus. So they can also eliminate the virus.
Okay.
Of course, still inhalation will help. So that way we can protect ourselves, but we cannot control the whole people. It's very difficult. Asymptomatic people, how we are going to control?
Absolutely.
The only thing is that we can be aware of how we can protect ourselves from getting infection.
Okay. Thank you for your views, Doctor. I'll come to Mr. Khumukcham. Well, Mr. Khumukcham, people are, in spite of knowing that vaccination does help up to a certain extent, there are some people who are still hesitating getting vaccinated. Some of them have not even got the first dose, leave aside the second dose or even the precautionary dose, and not getting even the family members vaccinated. What would you say to such people? Are they doing the right thing, or do you think they're going to pose a problem for the rest of the public?
I don't know what begins, who started this argument of, having vaccination to prevent COVID will cause you harm, will increase the birth rate of the community. These are the things spreading around. Who spread this? Where it begins? These are things we don't understand. I believe that these kind of things are being spreaded because, when vaccination drive begins, they cannot simply cover up all the people. So it may be someone from among them who is spreading this news to prevent them from criticizing towards them. Let it be it or not. Let it be because of the religious purpose or not. Anyway, leave it aside. First of all,
right.
Let me just come one point here. I thank Dr. Gopal for giving one very important issue, one very important issue to prevent ourselves from the COVID.
Right.
He just said that exposing ourselves to the sunlight, it helps us, protecting ourselves from the COVID.
Right.
This is the first thing that I heard from Dr. Gopal, and none of the doctors, none of the health department authorities had ever said this, and none of the advertisement appeared in newspaper or in social media or any other in like your channel, had never mentioned these things earlier.
Right.
So, other things, these are, these are to be asked to the experts and and all. But we as a media person, I as a media person, I personally have requested time and again to the government of Manipur as well as to the authority of the health department,
right,
to make sure that people know about this coronavirus, as many as to as many people as people. And also they need to spread how to prevent ourselves from being caught as a victim of this coronavirus. We also requested the government of Manipur and the district administration to do time and again not to permit gathering permission.
right,
Except for ritual purpose, even a ritual purpose, when our loved one dies,
right,
there was a time that we cannot even invite our close friend
absolutely,
to join us.
right,
There was a time. So the same timing, how hard, how painful it would have been.
Absolutely.
One consider.
that's right.
So this time we have experience, and we bear all of it. We tolerate it. We all suffer. We all face the hardship.
Right.
And now there are certain things that all the people need to know. Spreading about rumors about getting a COVID vaccine will make you someone's this, that. To prevent them from vaccination, there are some kind of rumors going on.
Absolutely.
Why don't the government research, investigate about this? Who is spreading this bloody news?
Right.
It is a COVID vaccine that has been protecting the society. Everyone knows it. Every medical expert has told us, and we believe in the medical experts.
Right.
We don't believe some quacks,
Right.
some religious leaders to cure us. But we believe in the medical experts who have been spending 5, 6 years, 7 years, 10 years researching this, doing this.
Right.
And then our medical experts are telling this, and then some self-styled social leader or social so and so, they are doing something, spreading something that to decrease the rate of this
vaccination
program. The doses given today,
Right.
as per the record, the doses given today is just 30,65,000 doses. I'm talking about doses.
Okay.
Doses means
First and
one
second.
person got 3 doses, okay?
Right.
2 doses, okay?
Right.
If you calculate all this, half the population of this Manipur would not have got this
Vaccination.
vaccine doses.
Right.
I just assume this.
Right.
Are they trying to do something?
Is it?
I don't have words to say. Are these people in the health department have failed to make sure that all the people in the state get vaccinated and assured that full vaccination were provided to them, because government of India has provided so many vaccines to them free of cost, and now the booster dose is also being provided at free of cost.
Yes, absolutely.
I know none of the advertisement has been given out. None of the awareness program has been conducted for getting people this booster dose.
Exactly. Right.
So these are the things of concern to us. In medical field, in medical expert, how to prevent so and so. These are the this has to be done by experts like Dr. Gopal or Tamo and everyone. But this suggestion given from the expert should be taken, entertained by the government, and then they should discuss about it, and then they should make all the people of this Manipur knows about it.
Right.
So that will be the only means to stop preventing the spread of breaking the chains of the
Absolutely.
chain of this pandemic.
Right.
That's what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you for your views. Now I'll come back to Dr. Nabakanta Sharma. Mr. Khumukcham just spoke about spreading awareness. It's actually quite true that in our state people are not really aware of the doses even the booster dose, I think even the precautionary dose. So shouldn't there be some sort of an awareness drive or some sort of a way to spread, to make the people aware that such precautionary doses are being given, or where the doses, let's say for a single day there's a camp. So shouldn't the government really actually take up more steps to make the people aware of where the vaccinations are taking place, and also probably give confidence to the people that the vaccinations do not cause like the contradictory effects, like as the people would say. Say maybe people should be aware of the side effects and not like what the social media spreads about, the wrong information about the vaccination. So is there any some such awareness program which is being carried out by the government or by the healthcare sector to make the people aware?
All right. Ms. Konsam, I'm happy you're asking a wonderful question. Perhaps you may be flying back from Calcutta to Imphal, or maybe from Delhi to Imphal. When you fly over to Manipur Valley or
Right.
Manipur state, you must be seeing a lot of villages on hilltops.
Yes.
So I am a doctor, I was concerned for the last so many years. Somebody may be having a heart attack or maybe obstetric delivery.
Right.
I was wondering how they can come back to a nearest hospital, how they will get a treatment. Geography make the history. It is easier to get, this thing, transmit the knowledges, to do the service. In our hill area, I have got my one, lovely young boy, a Tankul boy. I really take him as my one son. And with a lot of difficulty, I have requested him to get this thing, and the booster come, and he said, no, I'm not going to have it. And I say, if you're not giving the booster, you may not be able to join the army, which is going to be done in November. At last, with a lot of requests, I have done it. My one family, I can imagine it. And his one sister, staying together, is still not getting a injection at Imphal. I myself requesting to them, it's not 50% success, 50% still failing.
Right.
You can imagine the hill area. Simply shouting in our this ELITETV or maybe ISTV or this thing doesn't serve the purpose. You can imagine you when we're flying from Kolkata, you can see a lot of hilltops and villages are here. Forget about COVID. If you have a serious heart attack, maybe obstetric level, maybe bleeding, maybe it's difficult. So hopefully we can understand. I'm very much concerned what you are talking about, and who is his concern about our state, his emotional outbursts. I really understand it. And unfortunately, we live in a democratic country. We cannot force it.
Right.
I went to China in 1999 for vasectomy training.
Okay.
No scalpel vasectomy, and by the UNEP, a huge amount of money spent it. In China, what they does, the small commissioner, they will bring, or after having one child, they just catch follow their hand, they stand in queue, we will just stop it. Tuck, 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 tuck. It is not possible in India.
Right.
Impossible, unthinkable. And coming back what Rinku is telling, underbবিশ্বাস, how they don't commit, superstitious, we are limit, we are too superstitious also. In Afghanistan, polio immunizations, they says if you give this polio, your child will be sterilized. This American medicine, they are feeding you because it is not going to have your babies. This right now, in the era of internet, in the era of this thing, and now they are not allowing to go to the girls to the school. It is just next. Afghanistan, one part of India in those days, Burma, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh is almost an Indian continent. So these are the issues beyond our capacity. I do love to answer it, but I don't know, Khumukcham also may not be able to do it, and Gopal also may not be able to do it. But you imagine it, you think it over, you simply not fingering, this is called, apathy, how we can do it. Even I say in my one family, which is eating together, sleeping together, more or less, his sister, I couldn't convince him. She is working, she's staying in Imphal, staying here itself, and doing his graduation and all, still not getting done.
Isn't that because people are not actually really aware of how the vaccine would help?
No, because our exposure is very less, and we are a little bit timid. We are a little bit suspicious all the time.
Right.
If you read about my 4-year experience in Manipur, Greenwood's wife write about how we behave, our behavior. And I'll tell you the last small funny story. The late Krishnos, from Thobal, he was a medical minister. Earlier, he was a agriculture extension officer, something like that. At the time, government of India is giving a lot of urea, Dymo and all. Nobody likes to use it.
Okay.
No, we don't want it. It is going to spoil our field.
Okay.
And what he does, he take his one friend at the night. He spread the urea in the field, and as a witness. So after 2 months, 3 months, the field was so greenery and all. The Poweville RMB has come, the goddess of paddy field has come. That's why this is thing. Then he told them that no, I have put some urea here. He's the witness. But now you see, we are not getting urea. The MLA is fighting. The opposition is not getting this thing. These are the things which are, of course, the study, the education, the information, and of course, my father was a poor Brahmin. He doesn't have any. His asset was a simple bicycle. He do not know about the English Williams also story and what this thing. But anyway, he produced 2 doctors or perhaps 3 doctors in our family. But things are changing. But it is not changing what we desire, what Rinku desire, what we all love to have it. But we also responsibility. I also trying my level best.
Right.
And Gopal is sitting now in the administration. He's a quite experienced, quite lovable gentleman. I'm sure he must be doing he's discharging his duty. And lastly, not the least, let us fight the disease. Let us not fight each other.
Right.
Let us fight the COVID. This is my conclusion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor. Dr. Gopalkrishna, I'll now just continuing with the same thing. Without vaccination, there are serious implications. So some people are not even getting vaccinated, and also the certificates, I've even heard of people actually forging the certificate for travel reasons. So that means there's a lot of
very
corruption happening. So what can you do about that? I mean, how do we make the people aware that vaccines are actually going to help them and not create more problems?
Actually, if we educate them well, telling that vaccines, we have so many other vaccines besides COVID vaccine also, and none of them they are doing this thing harmful to us. Like we can say that we can tell them that we can educate, we can interact with them, telling them that like polio vaccine.
Right.
After using polio vaccine, India has become free of polio.
Absolutely.
The whole country.
Right.
Like that, of course, COVID vaccine is a very new one. It's very new, and we don't know its long effect. But so many research work have shown that they can prevent this complicated infection. Seriousness of the infection, seriousness of the disease can be prevented, though the infection cannot be totally controlled.
So may I interrupt you here? Just regarding this, the vaccination, clinical trials, are they actually done? Because some people do say that there have been no clinical trials done on these vaccines and they've just been released into the public as an experiment.
No, actually it has been done. First phase, second phase, third phase.
Okay.
They have been all done, and it was found to be safe.
Okay.
It has been scientifically proven, and there has been many papers also.
Okay.
And it is quite safe.
Okay. So
there is no doubt about it.
So if the medical sector does, the health sector, if they organize camps to make the people more aware of COVID, the vaccination, wouldn't that actually help in getting most of the people vaccinated? Because right now we're talking about lack of awareness.
Yes, there is lack of awareness generally. People are ignorant, and some people refuse to understand also.
They refuse, absolutely.
Yeah, but in periphery, grassroots level, the ASAs and all, they are educating them.
Okay.
We actually help people. They educate ASAs and all, and they go to the grassroots level and they talk about it. But you know, all people will not be doing what we like. No?
Right.
People are different. Somebody will accept, somebody will not accept. Even though if we can, even in my own family also, I cannot convince everyone.
True.
I tell them everything, but with all the facts, but there are many times they refuse. I mean, they don't follow also. They just don't follow. So,
absolutely, everybody.
of course, we can give our best effort to educate everyone, to make everyone understand.
Okay.
We can try, and of course they will increase, but we cannot say that everyone will get the shots. No.
Right. Okay. Thank you for your views, Doctor. My last question to Mr. Rinku Khumukcham. The main concern actually is about, we already spoke about this at the beginning of the debate, about the school-going children. The schools reopened today, and it's probably, we'll get to know in a couple of days or maybe in a week's time if it's going to spread among the children. So what can we do about it? Because they've reopened schools. Okay, the younger ones are still at home having online schooling, but what about the older children?
No, as per the government decision, the opening of the school, it is for the safety for those students who are vaccinated.
Okay.
As per the order by the governor.
But there are many children who have not been vaccinated. That's the point.
Yeah, there are many children who have not been vaccinated, and then you know, even among the adults also there are many who have not been vaccinated. We already know that.
Right.
So you know, once I have suggested to the education department authority that you know, at one time the government school used to be inspected by the assistant inspector or the inspector of the school.
Okay.
Whether the schools is going on properly or the students are teaching properly, these are the things that they usually visit the school and then inspected about things. Now it has all gone. I don't know why it is gone, and none of the inspector has inspected any of the government schools. Forget about it. So I suggested to one of the health department authority that a COVID special team be established.
Right.
You know, be constituted so that they visit the school.
Schools.
Whether the school, you know, it's even in wartime we need to learn, we need to study, but with protection we have to study. So at this time of our, what we need is the safety of the student as well as educating them.
Right.
So when we want both, then we have to follow some kind of strictures that the students are protected from, you know, spreading. You know, we need to break the chain from among the students also.
Absolutely.
So there should be some appropriate, you know, behaviors, appropriate SOP of the COVID.
Right.
You know, posed to all the schools. And imposing some SOP doesn't work. We all know that.
Yes.
There should be some, you know, authority who will keep inspecting those things, who visit to the schools, whether these are following this kind of things, these are following the COVID behaviors that have been provided to them. All what we need to do is that, you know, the health department should not sit idle. The health department, state health department should not sit idle.
At this time,
they should, you know, make programs, innovative programs to prevent the spread of the disease, to protect the students from studying among them. But still, you know, it's hard for someone to control adolescent age. You know, they always wanted to be close. They always wanted to stay in group and talk about things. You know, so it is better that those vulnerable students whose immunity has not been completely developed. For example, below 12 years,
Right.
they are vulnerable to any kind of disease. They are not very healthy. Their growth, immune system has not been well developed. That is why, it's better that they be left aside. They be left aside, because it is hard to protect, for someone to control all those measures. So
Right.
for those people, for those students who are under 12, or there should be some other alternatives, but still then others, that where the school has been opened,
Right.
let the health department institute some kind of team who can inspect, who used to inspect, who has to inspect the condition of the school, how they are running, how they are doing the classes, this and all, in order to prevent this disease. This should be another method that we have suggested. I have suggested to the health department authority. Whether they agreed or not is another factor. And number two, whatever our experts told, we are not experts.
Right.
We are journalists, and we relay the message from the experts to the general public.
Right.
And it is important for all the people of Manipur to carefully listen to what our experts say. For example, Tamo Fami, Dr. But they give very important, precautionary measures for all of us. This should be followed, and in order to make it follow, the government should also be very serious to what these experts are telling.
Absolutely. Now, the schools did reopen today, but there was no, I don't think there was any precautionary note saying how the children should behave in school. What are the measures the schools are taking up to prevent any the spread of the disease, the virus. So how would the parents be assured that their children, whether vaccinated or not, that they are safe going to school?
Parents work. Parents do everything to make sure that their children live a very better and a very good life.
Right.
If their children succumb because of the negligence of the government, or because
Absolutely.
of something,
Right.
because of natural disaster, or because of anything,
Right.
then their hopes will be lost.
Absolutely.
Everyone will be lost. And
Right.
I don't think that in this stage, when there are reports of the increase of COVID cases in
True.
the state, parents will be willing to send their children. Some parents, I mean,
Right.
not all parents. Some parents, there are some parents, who do not even have time to look after their children. But there are children who look their wards from morning till night.
Right.
For those parents, I don't think that they will be sending their children to school.
Absolutely. So I don't think it was a very, personally feel it wasn't a very good move starting up the school so soon, because even if you're talking about breaking the chain, it's just been a week. Yes, they had a summer break, but then they started school today, and I'm sure in a matter of a week, we'll come to know how this unfolds. So let's wait and watch, and let's see how it goes, even if it's not a very virulent strain. But I'm sure it will spread, and it is increasing. The trend says it's increasing, and it's supposed to peak in August. So I guess we just have to wait and watch how it goes. Thank you so much for your views, Mr. Khumukcham. So I'll wrap up our debate for tonight. Although there's so much more we'd like to discuss, but we have a time constraint. I'd like to thank Dr. Nabakanta Sharma. Thank you so much for being on our show tonight. Dr. Yumnam Gopalkrishna, thank you so much for being on our show, and Mr. Rinku Khumukcham, thank you again for being on our show. Thank you all the three panelists for your valuable views, your time, and inputs. So viewers, what we can take away is we need to prevent, exercise, drink water, get lots of sunlight, and do your breathing exercises. This is the way that we can prevent the spread of the disease as much as possible. Well, the risks are still there, so please protect yourselves and others around you by knowing the facts and taking appropriate precautions. Stopping the spread starts with you. Wear a mask, clean your hands, maintain safe distance, and get vaccinated. Thank you so much for watching our show, dear viewers. Thank you for your time. Please do not forget to leave your precious feedback and do let us know if there are any social issues that you'd like us to cover in our show. Thank you all. I'm your host, Utpala, signing off for tonight. See you again next Monday with another exciting topic. Mask up and stay safe. Have a good night.